Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax. 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smiles.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Welcome into the Room to Room Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Gabe for Mississippi Live Weather at 10. And we are tracking a busy week and especially a busy end to the week. And you're in the right spot if you're wondering all things weather here in North Mississippi. Let's go ahead and get you guys updated, starting with our headlines. And the golden headline heading into tonight is it's going to be a more mild start to our Tuesday. Yeah, so if it was a little bit cold for you this morning, a little bit cold for church yesterday, don't worry, that's all behind us. We're in Mississippi and things change just like that. And speaking of change, that more mild start transitions into a warm afternoon. Winter taking a pause over the next couple of days, and we're getting unseasonable warmth over the top of North Mississippi for any of those plans that we may have. Of course, we'll track that out day by day in just a moment. What we're also looking at is Friday's threat, or Friday's severe weather threat, tracking that out in full detail with the latest model runs so you guys can stay as prepared as possible. Again, thank you for joining us tonight at 10 o'clock. We are tracking this busy forecast, but luckily it starts out with calm conditions tonight, transitioning into a mild start to our Tuesday. The first 12, 49 degrees, but you notice what the temperatures do overnight. Yeah, they don't drop. They actually start to climb just a bit, and that's due to how much moisture is in the air. Big provider of that moisture, these southerly winds coming in about 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's building back that moisture over the top of us, and whenever there's moisture in the forecast, unfortunately, things don't cool off nearly as much, so keeping temperatures in the low 50s for the start of our Tuesday. Let's go ahead and get a look outside. Clarksdale, 53 degrees, and there's that measure of moisture. 51 degrees right now, and so whenever the dew points are at a certain value, fun fact about meteorology, the temperatures actually can't go beneath that. So dew points are kind of that floor that we can't go beneath. And unfortunately, the floor is in the low 50s. So we're not going to be cooling off much more from where we're sitting at right now, even in northwest Mississippi and Clarksdale. And we carry that over towards Montgomery County and Winona, 54 degrees. Dew point a little bit less, but I do expect that moisture to move in a little bit more overnight. So again, not going to be a cool night tonight, as cool temperatures are unfortunately in the past as of right now. Amory, Monroe County, 46 degrees. Dew point still at 46 as well, but that southerly wind tells me that moisture is moving back in, whether we like it or not. There is a little bit of that starry night still showing up in Monroe County, maybe getting some of that lunar halo being depicted by that moon and the moisture that's in the atmosphere. That, of course, pairing up for another night where we could potentially see it. And temperature is not going to be too shabby if you want to go out and view that for yourself. 49 in Booneville, 47 Houston, Eupora, 48 towards Starkville, and we're seeing low 50s in Belzona, Greenwood, Cleveland, Clarksdale. Yeah, pretty mild night, all things considered, because it is the start of January. This is definitely unseasonable. A couple of hours. Temperature change over the past 24 hours. We've been hinting remain up north, but what it's doing is it's building back that moisture over the top of us and allowing for those more mild mornings and warm afternoons to stick around into our forecast. Our system is well into the Pacific and will work its way into the United States over the next several days. So let's go ahead and bring it back in here to the southeast. A better look at what's happening in North Mississippi. And as you can see, some partly cloudy skies, but all things considered, a pretty calm night working our way into the start of our Tuesday. Now that frontal system does try to approach North Mississippi, but this isn't going to be a big impact front. At most, it moves the clouds out for a brief moment, but it's not taking away that moisture completely. and that's why those mornings do stay on the milder side. That carries over into the start of our Tuesday and into your Tuesday afternoon. You do note in that forecast we could see a few sprinkles by the afternoon, primarily going to be northwest Alabama. But that's that moisture still in the forecast, and this frontal boundary acting as somewhat of a lifting mechanism to maybe produce a few drops during your Tuesday afternoon. But those best chances going to be along the Alabama state line. For the rest of us, that mostly dry forecast continues to remain in place. So that's why we're not exactly having anything too extreme on those percentages. We do stay mostly dry all throughout your Tuesday. 6 a.m., 51 degrees, and back into the upper 60s. Low 70s not out of the realm of possibilities either during those afternoon plans. Of course, this is setting the scene for what should be a warm next several days, and that's setting the scene for your Friday severe weather threat, which we will go over in more detail coming up here in just a moment in the next 60. But what else we're going to be looking at here in the next 60 is going to be your Ole Miss football forecast. If you're traveling out there to Arizona, we're also tracking those warm days. Just how warm are we talking about? Well, that is all coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 10, live from the Room to Room Weather Center in the next 60.
One in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 10. We're taking a look at the beautiful sights we saw this evening, starting in Pontotoc. Diane, our weather watcher out in the field, showcasing this great shot. And I love whenever you incorporate nature with the sunset. I think it adds a whole other element to it. And Diane doing a great job with that, with these pebbles there. I don't know if that's a driveway or a walkway, but either way, highlights very well with that orange horizon as that sun is setting. Just a beautiful night, all things considered. And I do hope that you got out to enjoy it, because, you know, Friday, things are going to start to change. Noah taking his drone up in Mooreville and getting a great shot of that horizon right there, sun setting. That's a beautiful shot right there, and I feel like that showcases what we saw in North Mississippi today. Dry conditions, some partly cloudy skies, but a beautiful sight nonetheless, and pretty warm as well. Now, as we take a look at what else we saw, now this was those Starlink satellites working their way across North Mississippi. Several folks asking about it, and don't worry, you don't need to say a prayer, bunker down. No, nothing like that is happening. It's just the Starlink satellites, and honestly, they have cleared by now. They were working their way through around 6 and 7 o'clock. That's Woody submitting this picture right there, and you see that line of those satellites right there. Just a great looking shot. And this was in Mathiston. Alicia submitting this shot, and that is a great shot at night. I don't know if you did the night mode or anything like that, but that is a great looking shot. So shout out our weather watchers submitting shots of the sunset and those Starlink satellites. And whatever you guys see in the sky, I do want to encourage you guys to submit those photos to us here at Mississippi Live Weather. Folks in the chat love to see it. Folks at home love to see it. And of course, us here at Mississippi Live Weather, we love to see it as well. So get that into us, and it could just be a clear night. Could be a lunar halo. It could be whatever you want to submit. There's been a lot of action in the skies despite it being a dry pattern the past 24 hours. 52 degrees in Cleveland right now. Love seeing Old Glory waving in the wind, but it does show those breezy conditions coming out of the south. I do note about 9 miles an hour directly out of the south, building back that moisture. That's why dew points are in the upper 40s in Cleveland right now. This time yesterday, I was tracking the mid to upper 30s with you guys. So things can change quickly. 48 degrees in Pontotoc, still with those dew points in the mid to upper 40s, and those winds directly out of the south, about 8 miles an hour. We'll carry that over towards Oktibbeha County. Folks in Starkville, I don't think they're in school just yet. I think they go back next week. I'll have to text Caleb to see. But it is 48 degrees right now and dry conditions, and I think that's how as clear as Highway 12 will ever look in Starkville. So enjoy it. Definitely a good night to get out and about. And hey, make a late night cookout run. You'll have time to after this broadcast ends. Trust me, I will wrap it up for you. Severe weather risk area. This is what we're all paying attention to as we head into the latter part of this week. Level 2 threat overhead in North Mississippi, incorporating everybody, even a few of our northwest counties there towards Franklin, Marion, and Lamar County in northwest Alabama. Now, here's what we need to know. It's going to be happening Friday afternoon, but there's still a lot of questions whenever it comes to this risk area, and we'll walk through one of our models later on in the broadcast, but those questions, that should be a reassuring sign, because if this was more nailed down, our confidence would be higher, but since there's still a lot of questions, our confidence is not as high for this threat. So we'll track that here in just a moment, but that's a little precursor to what to expect. Our Mama Justice Doppler radar, of course, showcasing those dry conditions, as has been the case all day long today. Nothing of note in those skies. The only thing we need to note is this mild forecast heading overnight. As we track out those temperatures, we're seeing 47 Grenada, 55 Hollandale. Ooh, more mild than others. 50 degrees right around New Albany. Same thing Boonville, Tupelo, and 49 around Amory. So like I said, a mild night transitioning to a warm afternoon. And that can really be seen due to these dew points. The dew points acting as that floor that we can't go past, go across. So we're limited to how much we can cool off overnight. And these dew points being as high as they are, we honestly will see even warmer temperatures by the time we get towards those morning commutes. So let's track out that day planner, of course, showcasing that slight warming trend into tomorrow morning, 49 degrees by midnight, not jumping, more like a hop into the low 50s by 6 a.m., but those mostly cloudy skies indicative of the moisture that we're seeing over the top of North Mississippi right now. So futurecast, what are we tracking? Well, overnight, not going to be any rainfall. It's just going to be that cloud cover gradually working its way into the region due to those southerly winds, and that'll continue to be the case by 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 o'clock on your Tuesday morning. So the morning commute looking good to go. Unfortunately, not going to be as clear of a sky due to that cloud cover being overhead. But as we work our way into our Tuesday morning, of course, those temperatures still going to be on the milder side, and that's why we're tracking 49 Amory, Tupelo, Houston, 52 Greenwood, 52 around Clarksdale as well, and 51 South Haven, Senatobia, and Tunica. So this mild morning, yeah, it's going to transition into a warmer afternoon. So pick up at the school bus, 52 degrees, but by drop-off, we're talking 69 degrees in a few locations. Not going to be shocked at all if we reach into the low 70s. So welcome back, fall. Is that what we need to be saying? At least not saying hello winter, because this is definitely far from it for what we'd expect for this time of year. So Tuesday morning staying on the drier side, but you do see that front that's starting to inch into Arkansas. Now this will play a part in our forecast, but not seeing the major impacts that it'll bring on Friday. Not going to be one of those fronts. This is primarily going to be a slight lifting mechanism, allowing for some of these brief showers to occur. Now these showers going to be light in nature, sprinkle at most, so don't go cranking the windshield wipers up. I think we're good on that first setting, and we'll be good to go to carry that into the afternoon. Now where we're seeing the best chances of those sprinkles, northwest Alabama and right along the Alabama state line, remaining in place during those afternoon hours. And as that front inches closer, it's not exactly going to do much damage in the form of moisture. So I do track a mostly dry day for the large part of North Mississippi for any of those Tuesday afternoon plans. Here's what that front will do. Bring in some slightly drier air, and slightly the emphasis right there, because you see how that cloud cover recedes just a bit. It's going to push out a little bit of that moisture, but still those winds coming out of the southwest and west. Yeah, it's not going to take much to shift those winds around once again and bring back that those warm temperatures and that moisture once again. So high temperatures on your Tuesday. I told you it'd be warm, and I feel like that's an understatement for this time of year. Our normal this time of year going to be in the low 50s. Far from it with 71 Clarksdale, Cleveland, 72 Eupora and Grenada, as well as Columbus, and 69 towards Tupelo, 68 New Albany, Oxford, and Holly Springs. Warm one for sure. Our record 72 degrees. I don't think we surpass that. I don't think we tie it, but we're close enough to where we can say this is near record-setting heat. So our future cast into our Tuesday night, you see this front starting to work its way through North Mississippi. But look at these winds. Not changing too much. We're still getting a westerly component right there, maybe briefly turning towards the northwest, but this is not going to last forever. And as soon as that front pushes east and the high pressure pushes east with it, those winds will shift once again from moving to a northerly wind back into a southerly wind by the time we get into the early part of our Wednesday. So these low temperatures still remain mild and a little bit cooler depending on how far north you go because of those northerly winds trying to get back into the forecast and that drier air moving in as well. So we're tracking 45 Holly Springs, 46 Oxford, Water Valley, Boonville, and Corinth, But low 50s still in place due to that moisture remaining in the Golden Triangle, as well as Belzona, Greenville, and Cleveland. But as we go about the day on Wednesday, of course, those winds do shift once again to a southerly component, and that's going to build back that moisture into North Mississippi and prime the environment once again as we get into our Thursday and Friday. So as you can see right here, more of a easterly direction by the afternoon. Again, those winds gradually working their way around due to that high pressure system working its way east through the United States. So as that continues to gradually move, and you see the faint shadow of it right there, or as you expect it to move off there towards the east and up the Atlantic coast, you can see by your Wednesday afternoon, we're already starting to get that southeasterly wind back into the forecast. So your high temperatures Wednesday, despite it being a northerly wind, not going to impact it too much. We're still sitting in the low 70s in Tupelo, New Albany, and Oxford, mid 70s for Greenwood and Kosciuszko, and 73 Macon, Columbus, and Aliceville. Our record, 75, again, not far from it, that 1946 record, but I don't think we break it. I think that let's see, is that 80 years on the dot? Wow, that is 80 years. Yeah, that 80-year record still stands supreme. So don't worry, none of that will change. All right, but here's where things will start to get a little bit different. So you see on your Thursday, we're working our way with that moisture pushing back into the forecast. And you can see, I know the cloud cover is blocking it, but even out here in Alabama, how it's that southeasterly component. Well, if we keep those southeasterly winds moving into North Mississippi, that same direction is getting all of that Gulf moisture back into the area. So there's a few things we're watching right here. This is your cold front that's moving across the Midwest and then into the southeast through your late Thursday and really into your Friday, all things considered. But there's your energy as well. And this is what we're watching. All that red right there, the brighter reds means there's increased energy, and that's lining up right in line with our cold front as we get into our Friday. So let's carry this over. So your Thursday night, we might get a few of those sprinkles working their way into the region due to that moisture returning. But the main effect still going to be seen out in Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. This is not a fast-moving front whatsoever, so that'll start to build back the energy as we head overnight and into our Friday. And then watch how everything just starts to develop right overhead as we get into our early hours of our Friday. Now, that main development is going to be out there towards Louisiana. You see those higher values of Cape, that higher value of energy already building in, and that's going to allow for all of this prefrontal development to increase in strength just a bit. Just watch the difference. From 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on your Friday, a lot of that prefrontal development sticking around there towards Natchez, Jackson, and all the way out towards Lake Charles. Now, this area in southern Louisiana is, I would say, the primed area for energy. But that energy goes all the way up there towards Greenville and all the way up into North Mississippi. So this area, yes, lining up very well with that level 2 risk, hence why it's in place, is lining up together to let us know that there is potential for strong storms and severe storms to take place. Now, what this is telling me on this latest mode of our strike model is that there will be some prefrontal development that could get some turning, could produce a brief tornado, but we do expect gusty winds to again be the main focal point with this line as it works its way on through. So let's carry that over. 3 p.m. Then we start to get more of a QLCS to develop from Starkville to Tupelo, all the way down south towards Jackson and Natchez. Along this main line is where I would expect the strongest winds to be, with again that prefrontal development extending all the way into Birmingham. But that highest value of energy still out there into New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but does not get, or does extend a little bit more north into Jackson and Meridian, still priming southern Mississippi for a little bit of that severe weather threat into those late evening hours. But this model, our strike model, is a little bit faster than what our Euro is suggesting. So one of the big questions heading into this week is timing, because we do expect it to be Friday afternoon and potentially overnight, but some models are saying earlier, some models are saying later. So that disagreement that we're seeing is reassuring to us, because that means our confidence is still not going to be as high as what it could be. But that question could be answered as soon as our Tuesday, but we'll be watching it all week long for how things transition as we get into the latter portion of this week. But this is definitely one to pay attention to as we get into our Friday forecast, our first severe weather threat being issued for 2026. So we know everyone's eyes are on it, and we want you guys to stay as prepared as possible. And that's why we're, of course, monitoring it here at Mississippi Live Weather. So your 7-day forecast, of course, Friday is definitely circled over the next 7 days. So make sure to have ways of staying prepared with Weather Call and with the Mississippi Live Weather app. But Friday, 60% coverage. The rest of the day is going to be relatively dry. That frontal system going to be the main provider of moisture. Those warm temperatures sticking around as well leading up to that threat. And as we get into our Saturday and really into early next week, cold does return. So winter, I didn't say it was over, I said it was put on pause. And this frontal system, due to how strong it is, will allow for those cold temperatures to return by early next week. But like I mentioned, one of the best ways to stay prepared is with that Mississippi Live Weather app. If you have not done so already, make sure to download that today to stay updated. We provide updates 6 times a day on top of some brief video updates. Again, all accessible on the Mississippi Live Weather app. And as we head over the next several days, I want to see some Weather Watcher photos, especially as we get into our Friday. And that is applied by you guys out in the field. And so if you have the app on the homepage, if you scroll down a little bit, it says submit your pictures. Yeah, go ahead and do so. So take a picture of the sunrise or sunset, and we'll showcase that here on Mississippi Live Weather. But stay safe, stay prepared, and we'll make sure to allow you to do so here on Mississippi Live Weather. We'll be live again here from the Room to Room Weather Center, heading into those early hours of your Tuesday, 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. But don't miss out on your Tuesday evening shows with Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon and I at 5, 6, and 10 live here from the Room to Room Weather Center. We thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you back here in just a couple hours. Until then, have a terrific Tuesday and keep those cups of coffee ready.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.